As we're celebrating the women in this month, we are going to start off this week's episode of iAfrica with Nhaka Gallery, which has an all-female exhibition called Seasons, because the seasons of a woman's life vary. They ebb, they flow. And then we'll go into the second segment where we have a female photographer. But Atida Roka, we bring a balance. We will always bring balance to the show. We will end with a male. And this is an illustrator called Bill Masuku. This is iAfrica. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. Join me, your host, Rugarem Duhani, as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica, celebrating the African story. Welcome to the very first segment of iAfrica for this week, and we're in the heart of Harare. We're in the avenues at the Nhaka Gallery. Oh my gosh, the art here is absolutely breathtaking. It's stunning, and I'm joined by the gallerist, Helen Mashitsi. Hello, Helen.
Hi, Rugari, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. This is the first time I've actually heard the term gallerist. What is a gallerist?
All right, so basically a gallerist is someone who runs a gallery.
Oh, wow. Okay. Can you tell us about the history of Nhaka Gallery?
All right, so Nhaka Gallery was founded in 1975 by Helen Liros and Derek Huggins. Helen Liros was an amazing contemporary artist who was also so passionate about teaching art. She was an art teacher who is well known and renowned for grooming most of the established Zimbabwean artists who are currently trending in not just in local but also in the international market.
And how does one, just taking you back right there, because I just started thinking, how does one become a gallerist? Because maybe someone is looking at you and saying, hey, that's an interesting line of work.
Mm-hmm. So for me, it's really about passion. So I was literally raised by Helen Liros and Derek Huggins. I started painting at the age of 3. So, you know, when you want to take up something, art has got many other posts that are around it. You can be an artist. You can start art to be an artist. You can start art to curate art. You can start art to manage art. You can start art to actually start a gallery, because if you see here in Zimbabwe, we have a few galleries, and yet we've got a very big market of artists that are looking for where to exhibit. It's actually a shortage. We need more galleries, more people to actually start galleries and maybe continue running galleries that are maybe the owners might have been late or something like that, because there is a lot of talent here in Zimbabwe. There's a lot, and people don't have anywhere to exhibit.
Fascinating. I didn't even know we had a shortage of galleries. I love the fact that I'm learning so much from you today. Looking at Nhaka Gallery, you currently, as the curator as well, you are curating this exhibition that's here. Can you take us through that?
Yes, so this is an exhibition that was curated specifically for the month of March, because, as you know, internationally, the month of March is the month that we celebrate women. So this exhibition is titled Seasons because it's an exhibition that is telling different stories of women. Women have had their struggles. They've had their struggles in the 1950s. They've had their struggles in the 1970s. They've had their struggles in the 1990s. Now a woman can be a lawyer, a woman can be a judge, a woman can be a headmistress. Women could not even own land. But now women can actually own land, you know. So there are things that the women's movement internationally, the feminist movement have been fighting for, advocating Beijing platform for women in the 1990s, all that. So there are goals that have been met. But with new achievements now, maybe now we can on land, but there's another struggle that comes. So we are saying the struggles are still continuing, because as we are achieving and saying now we've got victory, now women can on land, or women can now also now be lawyers, or women can now also dominate some of the male-dominated or patriarchally dominated areas. There are still more struggles that are coming up even now in the 20th century. So Seasons is about now taking a deep dive into, okay, yes, we have achieved this, but what are the struggles that we are still facing as women in the now? So that's what the exhibition is about.
Profound, profound. As we're talking about the challenges of women, right? I don't just want to shine a light on the challenges, but when we're looking at the challenges in you creating these platforms and you empowering women in art, what these challenges, as well as the pros as well, of empowering women through art?
Yeah, so there's a lot of challenges. I am one of the few, I'm the youngest actually in Zimbabwe, female galleries. The young female artists don't have platforms to showcase themselves because, art for women is not taken serious. If I come in, I'm a girl and say, here's my art, it's sort of like looked down upon. Gallerists out there don't really take women's art serious. But if I come and say I'm a man, then I'm taken serious. Women's art is less expensive if you look at the international market and local, but men's art is more expensive. So there's a lot of segregation, there's a lot of limitations for women, even in terms of resources. Women afforded less resources compared to men, because when I say, okay, I'm a man, I want to do a solo show, even funders, sometimes they take men more serious than women. So women, they don't have resources, they don't have studios. Even most of the studios that are even locally in Zimbabwe, if you want to count studios where women can do their art, most of them are male-owned studios. So for women to access those studios now, it's a matter of, okay, what am I going to get? And we've got a lot of young women coming complaining because you want the studio, so what are you going to give me? You get it? So there's a lot of things happening. So there is need for more female artists to open studios so that more female artists can be comfortable and be safe to go and work in those female dominated or female managed studios. There's more need for more resources that are specifically aligned or set apart for women to be allocated. So there's need for resources, there's need for more studios, there's need for even promotion of art. Women's art need to be promoted more. Yes.
And as you're empowering them, what changes are you seeing in the lives of these women that you're empowering when they come to your gallery?
Yes, so far we've seen a lot of changes. We now, because the gap was really huge, the gap between male and female artists was really huge. So in our exhibitions, we are trying to put in, when we do exhibitions at Nhaka, we make sure that if we have 10 males, we also have 10 females. We recently had an exhibition in South Africa, Joburg, last year. We also went with male artists and we also incorporated female artists to just create a balance. So whenever we do an exhibition here at Nhaka Gallery, we try to create a balance so that we close that gender gap that has long been existing of more male artists than females.
I'm loving this season's exhibition. Are there any other exhibitions that we can expect from you in this year?
Yes, this year as Nhaka Gallery, we are celebrating our jubilee in October. So we're celebrating 50 years of operating as Nhaka Gallery, from when we were called Delta Gallery to now rebranded to Nhaka Gallery, to honor the legacy of not just Helen and Derek, but all the artists that have been working hard all these years to make sure that we, as Nhaka Gallery, are what we are today. Yes.
Congratulations in advance, and I hope you make sure that you invite us. Can you please just throw, as I let you go, can you please throw just a couple of names of some of the artists that you have featured here?
Yeah, we've got Paula Nyasha Mutamba. We've got Yana Nisokunaka, who is doing very well. We also have works by the late Helen Liros. We have works by other male artists, because we did 70-30, 70% women and 30% men. We've got Batirai Muswe, we've got also Richard Witikani and Damian Grant.
Helen, as your parting words, can you speak to the young woman, young boy out there who's saying, I want to be a part of Nhaka Gallery, I want to be an artist? Can you speak to them and their dreams? Maybe you've inspired someone who wants to be a gallerist. Please speak to them and just inspire them before I let you go.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you have a dream and a vision, if you see yourself being something, stop looking at the barriers. Because the moment you start looking at barriers like, oh my God, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, I don't have the brushes, I don't have the paint, I don't know where to start. Just start from wherever you are, and it will just happen. It will just see yourself through.
Thank you so much, Helen.
Yeah. Thank you.
You heard her. Let us create safe spaces for women to come through and embrace art. There is a room for all of us. There must be equality as well in the arts industry. This has been your first segment. Stay tuned for the next female photographer. I mean, it's the month of women, right? iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. Join me, your host, Rugarim Duhani, as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica, celebrating the African story. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. Join me, your host, Rugarim Duhani, as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica, celebrating the African story. Welcome to the second segment of iAfrica. We told the stories through art in the very first segment at Nhaka Gallery. And now here's another woman who's telling her story through imagery, through photography. We have a female photographer as we celebrate Women's Month.
My name is Nhaka Gallery. I am a multi-award-winning photographer. I mainly focus on African art, showing the African photography. So I'm more into showing that African Zimbabwean side of photography. That's my type of art. It just started. A lot of people, they just like they would point out to my work with my gender. Like when they talk about my work, they would say, "But do you know that she's female?" So I ended up saying, "Oh, okay, the female photographer." It started as a disadvantage because a few people are still embracing our culture. A lot of people now, they are focusing on more of actually taking other styles from other countries and trying to embrace that. So now I was trying to really find a certain niche or the type of people that are able to understand my type of art and the beauty of Africa. Because you know, when someone types Africa or Zimbabwe, you can see pictures of poverty, village, not represented really well in that beautified manner. So I really tried to put something that can be acceptable now to the community. So I would say that now it's a plus. It's it's a benefit actually to be doing this type of unique art. During this journey, just being recognized as part of women who are speaking messages through art to people, it has been something that I would say that it's a very, very big accomplishment to me, because it's not easy to be recognized in a world full of artists, especially now when you are trying to bring the art into photography, because building art with a photograph is different from drawing. Drawing, you are able to draw everything into the picture, but now photography, you are trying to build things with sets, real life things. So for me, being able to be recognized as someone who has been speaking a word through art or producing pictures with voices, it has been something else for me. So I have had some of my photographs exhibited in the National Art Gallery when we were doing some women's work, different projects about gender equity, period, menstrual health. So all these different projects we have been able to exhibit. And also on online galleries, I've been able to submit some of my works and they were really accepted. So as someone that has been traveling, so far I've been to Australia, New Zealand, France, Canada, United States. I have seen that galleries are so much embraced. They really embrace art, they embrace their different artists. An artist is actually respected and given honor. And also even when you look at the prices and how they really treat the artistic industry, it's really, really different from Africa. And I really wish that as Africans we can also have that same mindset of really embracing art, knowing that, and also being able to interpret messages on a picture. Because I think that's where we lack. We don't usually put much effort when we see a photograph, when we see art, we don't really put much effort on it. But in other countries and continents, these people are really focused on art. They love art, they value art actually. So for me, just looking at my vision, my big wish is to really show our Zimbabwean creativity outside Zimbabwe. I really want my work to speak outside Zimbabwe, just to make it international and for people to really see that, oh, there is really this culture, there is really the Tonga people, there is the Ndebele people, there is this type of people, and there is this type of beautiful lifestyle. And also I would like to be a voice to people where people can just see a picture and it preaches a message to them. So my dream is to have artworks being displayed in different places, because now in Zimbabwe, for what I have seen, we have limited spaces where art is displayed. A lot of places is just in the gallery maybe, but we don't really have somewhere where they can just put an artistic billboard where people can really see art and introduce Zimbabwe in some different way. So to the young ladies out there, you know what? These industries, they say that they are male-dominated, but also as a lady, you can also dominate in them. Because looking at women, naturally, we are just creative people. Looking at even our outfits from way back or whatever that we were creating from way back, we are very crafty and we have been very crafty and creative. So imagine putting that into photography. We can dominate this industry. So I would say that, you know, like for me, if I was to really tell my story from the beginning, my parents were even a bit hesitant when I spoke about photography. But like, she was like, you want to be like that guy who is always moving with his bicycle, doing some photographs out there. But no, I had to really fight through my dream and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. No matter how it is outside there, because you will meet a lot of men in that industry, and men have an ego, and it will be hard for them to accept you just to join them and to prove that you can do it as well. But you should just press on. At the end of the day, people will respect your work more than your gender.
Now you know that a female can be an award-winning photographer. I mean, why settle for makona when you can go to an award-winning female photographer for your next portraits? Hey, this is iAfrica. We stay plugging you. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. Join me, your host, Rugarim Duhani, as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica, celebrating the African story. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. Join me, your host, Rugarim Duhani, as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica, celebrating the African story. Welcome to this week's third and final segment of iAfrica, where I am joined by a writer, an artist, an all-round creative at that. His name is Bill Masuku. Hello, Bill.
Hi, Rugari. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. Now, take us through this. What is an illustrator? This is for the layman who's at home.
I would say an illustrator is someone who goes through the process of going from an absolutely blank canvas to creating visual ideas, be that in color, in sketch. Your painters, your digital artists like myself, bringing toward a world of fiction from their mind and producing it for the layman. Preface it, I want to say traditional art is your paints, your pencils, your canvases, everything that you learn in a classroom. And yes, we are in an absolutely digital age. Most of us have a smart device of some sort. And through that, we can have software that replicates, I think that's the best word, it replicates the process of art. So it's still all the same traditional techniques of I have to know color, I have to know line, I have to know form, but it's simply I can now press Control Z if I make a mistake.
Okay, what was the inspiration for you? Because you're quite young, yes. It's the look on your face.
I'm functionally young, yeah. The inspiration, and I think I've thought about this answer quite a while over the course of my entire life. And I think it's preordained. I think as a child, I was drawing much more than I was speaking. Not to say that it didn't take skill to get where I am. Much effort, much training, lots of YouTube videos of me learning from other artists, but there is an internal passion that makes me draw, not as a hobby, not as a purpose, but I wake up and I feel like this is as much stretching for my mind as it is walking around the house.
There's a child out there who's watching you right now and they're like, listen, I love to sketch. Can you speak to that child? Inspire them a little.
Stay in school. Yeah. The arts industries in Zimbabwe are growing, right? And there is a place for everybody who does have large support systems. I'm lucky enough to have a family that supported me when I did decide to do this full-time professionally, but that's not always the case. You may face hardship, you may face difficulty, but one thing that I always leaned back on is the fact that I'm actually fairly good at maths. I'm a well-rounded student, and that contributed to my art more so than anything else.
You spoke of some of the hardships that you faced. What are some of the hardships that you faced as an artist in Zimbabwe?
I would say, particularly as a digital artist, the concept of mapopai is still plaguing us to this day. I think traditional artists have it less so, because there's an esteem, there's a value to having portraiture and landscape paintings in your house. But that same prestige is not offered to people who make sequential art, animation, comic books, even children's books. But you see in the West, in Japan, these are multi-billion-dollar industries. Everybody has watched a Marvel movie at some point. And I would say if we just extend that same level of understanding that this grassroots can grow into something large, that can give us shade, that can give us fruits of culture, of pop culture in the future, those are the hardships that people don't see, that the seeds that we have to plant today are valuable.
And given that you are an illustrator, I know that you've got your own children's cartoon that you've done. Let's talk about that.
So I grew up in the 90s, and everywhere you turned, there was a cartoon that spoke to community, that spoke to family, that spoke to protecting the planet. And it's not that we've lost that, but I feel we have to give back what we've been given. And in my story, Kalahari Kids, it's about a diverse group of Southern African kids who want to do maths, science, history, because those are the subjects that I loved. I love learning about African history. I love culture, technology, and I think there's a way to make it fun for children. I think we're losing this ability to sit close with our friends, our nieces, our nephews, and say, hey, I have a story to tell, and they walk away in passion to want to know more. And so Kalahari Kids, while it's a children's book right now, I am working on an animation, because I think music contributes to storytelling and learning as well.
It is important that we tell the African story ourselves and we take ownership of that. Let's talk about the pros and cons of actually embracing illustration and creating these stories for ourselves versus just watching Marvel, yeah?
I would say the cons is the amount of time it takes to actually make well-polished illustrations, animations. My time at Netflix and my time at Disney, it takes about 5 years for a solid animation to come out, from the idea, the writing, to the storyboarding, to the animating, to the actually putting it out on a studio platform. What I would say is the pros is the value that you get out of it. I think we spend a lot of time looking outward. Particularly in Southern Africa, yes, I'm mentioning Marvel, yes, I'm mentioning Japan, but between all of the stories that we used to hear, Mangano, right, if we just animated those, if we just turned those in from culture to pop culture, and not just seeing it as an art form, but also a level of productivity that we can export, to have people read our books, to have people want to go on Duolingo, to learn Shona, to be able to consume our content. That is the goal. The goal is that people understand that culture is also part of tourism. Comics are part of tourism. Illustration is part of tourism.
As we wrap your interview up, there's a parent that's watching right now and says, saka mapopai anokwanisa kubhadhara mwana wangu ere. Do share some of your success stories as an illustrator, as a creative, as a writer.
I've traveled.
Oh, trust me, you're hard to pin down. You're always somewhere.
I'm definitely on the move quite a lot. Quite recently, I was able to attend a focus in Angoulême in Paris, and I frequent South Africa quite a bit because of the Comic-Cons that happen there. And Comic-Con has an attendance of about 70,000+ people that are ready and willing for African content. There's conventions around Zimbabwe as well. There's one happening in Bulawayo, I think, in this coming weekend. We have our own events between gaming, animation, and illustration from from August all the way to December, there is an industry that's here and ready for your child, your cousin, your uncle, your enemies to come and profit off their ideas and their passion.
That was Bill Masuku, creative writer, artist. Listen, the arts are in good hands. Your children are in good hands as he's telling the African story through illustration and books as well. Encourage your child to write, to draw, to sketch, because you never know. Tomorrow, they might own the next DC Comics. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. Join me, your host, Rugarim Duhani, as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica, celebrating the African story.